My husband left me in the hospital for his lover. But what he didn't know is that I was about to discover a hidden $1.7 billion inheritance waiting in my name. Studio microphone, my name is Leah Foster. And if you had asked me a few years ago, I would have told you my life was simple, but happy. I own a tiny bakery that smelled like cinnamon and sugar. Every morning, I would open the doors before sunrise, watch the sky blush pink, and serve coffee to neighbors who knew me by name. I believed kindness mattered. I believed love was enough. And before I take you into the twist that nearly destroyed me, tell me this: where are you watching this from? Drop your city in the comments below, because the moment you hear what happened next, you'll understand why silence isn't an option anymore. And if this story already has you hooked, hit that subscribe button. If you won't, then at least tell us why. Don't scroll by without speaking up. And then, I met Adrian. I still remember the first day. It was at a street fair in town. The kind with paper lanterns strung across poles and music spilling from every corner. I was carrying a tray of fresh rolls from my booth when someone bumped into me. Rolls tumbled everywhere. I expected an apology, maybe even a laugh at my clumsiness. Instead, a tall man with a sharp smile bent down, gathered the rolls, and said, "Careful, Angel. The world owes you better hands than mine." That was Adrian. Smooth words, quick charm. The kind of man who lit up a room just by standing in it. He bought me a lemonade that day. We walked through the fair, and he told me he loved fast cars, big dreams, and chasing life like it was a race. And then, he told me he loved my laugh. I thought that meant he loved me. We married in spring. The dogwoods were blooming like folded white handkerchiefs. I wore the simplest dress, and he wore the widest grin. People clapped. We kissed. For a moment, I thought I'd found my forever. At first, he even helped at the bakery. He would stand behind the counter, joking with customers, making them giggle. He made me feel like we were a team, like love and dreams could live side by side. But dreams, they change people. Adrian began coming late. He started wearing new watches, suits that didn't match our budget. He said he had meetings. He said, "Big dreams need big friends, Leah." He liked the praise more than the work. I stayed quiet. I kept the oven warm and the door open. I told myself patience was love. But then the perfume started. Not mine. Not the sweet vanilla I wore in the bakery. No, this was sharper, heavier. The kind that clung to his shirts when he stumbled in late at night. And when I asked if there was someone else, he laughed. Kissed my cheek like he was tossing away spare change. That was the night shadows moved into our house. And they never left. Still, I carry my basket of kindness. I watch neighbors' babies. I left groceries on old porches. I brewed tea for women with cold hands at bus stops. People told me, "Bless you, Leah." And I always answered, "We are each other's umbrellas." But my own umbrella was tearing. My body started whispering that something was wrong. Dizzy spells. Pain under my ribs like a stone. I told Adrian. He barely looked up from his phone. "Take some water, Leah. You worry too much." A week later, I collapsed in my bakery. I woke under hospital lights, machines beeping like tire drums. And when I opened my eyes, Adrian wasn't holding my hand. He was standing at the foot of my bed, scrolling on his phone. And on his shoulder, resting like she belonged, was Sabrina, his mistress, my replacement. That's how my story begins. Abandoned in a hospital bed, betrayed by the man I once called my forever. Unaware that destiny had been waiting for me all along, holding a key worth $1.7 billion. And trust me, Adrian had no idea what storm he was about to walk into. If I'm honest, my story doesn't start with Adrian. It starts with my grandmother, Martha Ruth Foster. She raised me after my mother died young. She was the kind of woman who could turn scraps into a feast and silence into a lesson. At night, she would tell me stories by lamplight. Stories about rivers that looked quiet but carried gold beneath the mud. About little birds who outflew storms because they bent their wings instead of breaking them. And she always ended with the same words. "Leah, be gentle. Gentleness is not weakness. It is a key. One day you'll need it." I never understood it then. I thought she meant kindness was just manners, smiling at neighbors, sharing sugar. But now, lying here in a hospital bed with a drip in my arm, I finally understand. Kindness is what keeps me alive. I built my bakery on that belief. Sunrise Bakes. The windows always smelled of cinnamon rolls and fresh bread. I kept a jar by the counter that said, "Take what you need." Coins, bills, whatever customers could give. And if someone couldn't pay, I'd still hand them a loaf. I told myself, the world is heavy enough. Bread should be light. Adrian used to laugh at that jar. At first, he called it cute. Then, he called it foolish. He would say, Do you know how much we could make if you stopped giving things away? But I didn't stop. Because for me, kindness was never about profit. It was about people. Maybe that's why Adrian grew restless. He liked lights, noise, attention. He wanted to be seen. And I was happy to be invisible if it meant someone else walked away fed. The crack started small. He'd stay out late. He'd come home smelling of wine and perfume. He'd say he was with friends, but he never looked me in the eye when he said it. Then came Sabrina. I noticed her before I even knew her name. A red dress, high heels that clicked on the tiles like tiny hammers. She showed up at the bakery once, not for bread, but for Adrian. She leaned on the counter, eyes sharp as glass, and asked, "So this is your little shop?" I smiled anyway, because that's what I do. But inside, something in me cracked. From then on, it was her perfume on his shirts, her laughter in his phone at midnight, her shadow in our home, even when she wasn't there. And me? I stayed, because I believed in patience. I believed love was work. I believed if I kept carrying my basket of kindness, Adrian would find his way back. But love doesn't work that way. Not when one heart stops carrying. The night I collapsed in the bakery, I was pulling a tray from the oven. Cinnamon rolls, golden and soft. The bell over the door rang, and for a moment, I thought it was Adrian. But it wasn't. It was an old woman with silver hair, holding a broom of straw like a staff. She looked at me with eyes that reminded me of my grandmother's. "Child, sit," she said, and then the world went dark. When I woke, I was here, in this bed, machines beeping, air smelling like plastic rain. Nurse Olivia told me I needed rest. Medicine. Time. But Adrian came once, took a photo of my four, posted it with a fake sad face emoji, and left. He didn't even stay the night. And the next morning, Sabrina came instead. She brought flowers that smelled too strong. She set them down with a smile that wasn't warm. She trimmed the stems with scissors that clicked like tiny knives and said, "You know, Adrian deserves happiness. You're always tired. He needs spark." I wanted to scream, to fight, but all I said was, "You can go." And she laughed. She took a selfie beside my bed before leaving. Like my pain was just another backdrop for her vanity. That was the day I realized I was truly alone. But maybe I wasn't, because later I saw her again. The old woman with silver hair, pushing a mop bucket down the hall. She paused at my door. No one else noticed her. Only me. She nodded once, as if to say, "Keep going, child." And I swear, her eyes were the same as my grandmother's. That when the thought struck me, maybe my story wasn't ending in this hospital bed. Maybe it was only beginning. I didn't know it yet, but destiny was already walking toward me. With a letter, with a key, with a number that would change everything. 1.7 billion. And the man who abandoned me for another woman? He was about to learn that the wife he left behind was worth more than all the watches, cars, and mistresses in the world combined. Adrian wasn't always cruel. When we first met, he was charming, dazzling even. I fell for the way he made me laugh, for the way he acted like the whole world could fit in his hands. He used to tell me, "Leah, we're going to build something huge together, something people will never forget." I thought he meant the bakery. I thought he meant love. But what he really meant was power. At first, it was subtle. He started buying shoes he didn't need, watches that glinted too bright for a man with our bank account. He'd wave them around, saying, "One day, this will all be nothing. Just wait until we make it big." And when I reminded him about bills, he'd wave me off. "Stop thinking small, Leah. You're too gentle. The world isn't built for gentle people." But I believe the opposite. I believe the world needed gentle people most of all. That's where we drifted apart. I kept baking bread for the shelter, slipping groceries onto porches when no one was looking, sharing cookies with children who came in empty-handed. And Adrian? He started coming home later and later. His smile turned sharper, his words colder, until one night, I smelled Sabrina's perfume before I ever saw her face. It was the kind of scent that sticks to skin like smoke. He came home past midnight, his shirt wrinkled, his phone buzzing in his pocket. When I asked where he had been, he laughed, kissed my cheek without looking at me. And I knew. I just knew. The first time I met her, Sabrina leaned against our counter like she owned it. Red dress, manicured nails, a smile that could slice. She looked me up and down and said, "So you're Leah? Cute shop. Not nice to meet you. Not thank you for the bread. Just cute shop." And Adrian? He didn't even notice the way my hands trembled on the tray. He was too busy staring at her. That was when I realized something terrifying. I could lose everything I'd built, my marriage, my bakery, my life, and Adrian wouldn't even blink. And I was right, because when I collapsed in my bakery one morning, oven still warm, air still heavy with cinnamon, Adrian didn't stay by my side. He didn't hold my hand. He didn't whisper that everything would be okay. No. He walked in, saw me pale and hooked to a drip, and laughed at the nurse's note. Family, he scoffed. We'll see about that. And then he left, with Sabrina on his arm. That moment broke something inside me. But even in my weakest moment, someone noticed me. It wasn't a doctor. It wasn't Adrian. It wasn't even Nurse Olivia, though she did more for me in one day than Adrian had in years. No, it was her, the old woman. Silver hair, bright eyes like the moon reflected in dark water. She pushed a mop down the hall, as if she belonged to the background, invisible to everyone else. But not to me, never to me. She paused at my door, her bucket wheels squeaking softly. She looked at me, straight into me, and said, "Child, when the drum of shame is loud, the drum of destiny is louder. A kind heart never walks alone." And she slipped a small woven bracelet onto my tray. A bracelet with a single smooth shell. And before I could even speak, she was gone. The nurse frowned, confused. "Did you see that?" she asked. I nodded. But when I looked down the hall, the woman had vanished. That was the first sign. The second came only hours later, when Nurse Olivia returned to my room, frowning at my chart. She said, "Your husband asked to freeze your account, but someone just paid part of your bill. A stranger. And there are 2 men in suits in the corridor asking for you by name." I blinked. "For me?" She nodded. And just then, the door creaked open. 2 tall men in gray suits stepped inside. They carried a leather case with brass corners. One of them bowed his head and said, "Mrs. Leah Foster, we come with a message from a benefactor." The beeping beside me slowed. The room grew small and quiet, and my heart pounded so hard I thought it might leap from my chest. A message? From who? I didn't know it then, but everything was about to change. My name is Leah Foster. My husband abandoned me. My body is weak, but my story is just beginning. Because in a moment, I was about to learn that I was the heir to a hidden fortune worth $1.7 billion. And Adrian was about to find out that the woman he left behind was holding the key to a destiny he could never steal. My name is Adrian Cole, and if you're expecting me to feel guilty about leaving Leah in that hospital bed, you'll be waiting forever. Guilt is for the weak, and I don't do weak. I do winning. Asterisk, I grew up with nothing. A mattress on the floor, secondhand clothes, dinners that looked more like scraps than meals. I swore I'd never live like that again. I swore I'd get out, no matter what it took. That's why Leah worked for me, at first. She was safe. Sweet. The kind of woman who'd smile at you even if you gave her nothing. I thought, perfect. She'll keep the house warm while I chase bigger things. And for a while it was fine. She had her little bakery, her little neighbors who adored her. She was content with bread and kindness. But me? I wanted cars. I wanted skyscrapers with my name on the door. I wanted people to look at me and say, "There goes Adrian Cole, the man who made it." Leah didn't get that. She never did. She called me greedy. She said I was changing. But what she didn't understand was that I had always been like this. Always hungry. Always chasing. She just didn't see it at first because I played the part of the charming husband. Until Sabrina. Sabrina. Now, there's a woman who understands me. We met at a gala. She walked in like fire wrapped in silk. Red dress, champagne in hand, a smile that could melt marble. She leaned close, whispered that I deserved more than a bakery wife who gave away bread for free. And she was right. With Sabrina, I felt powerful, desired. She pushed me, told me I could be more, have more. And I wanted that. No, I needed that. That's why when Leah fainted in her bakery, I didn't drop everything to stay. What was I supposed to do? Hold her hand while she whined about pain? She'd always been fragile, always clinging to her kindness. I had better things to do. Sabrina and I had dinners to attend, deals to chase, a future to build. So yes, I left, and I didn't look back. That night, Sabrina and I checked into a 5-star hotel. We ate steak dripping with butter, drank wine older than I was, and laughed about how pitiful Leah had looked in that bed. Sabrina leaned close, her perfume filling my head, and whispered, "Adrian, she's an anchor. And anchors don't float. Cut her off completely, and we'll soar." And I believed her, because Sabrina understood something Leah never did. The world doesn't reward kindness. It rewards ambition. It rewards people willing to take what they want. Still, sometimes in the quiet moments, something gnawed at me. Not love. No, not that. Leah had stopped being my partner a long time ago. What gnawed at me was the fear that maybe, just maybe, she knew something I didn't. That her kindness was some kind of secret weapon. But I brushed it off. Money. Power. That was all that mattered. Until the phone call. It came while Sabrina and I were sipping cocktails at a rooftop bar. A friend of mine who worked at the hospital called, laughing. "Adrian, you better get down here. Your wife just got visited by some big shots. Men in suits. Brought her a case like they were delivering treasure. Looks serious. Treasure. That word hit me like a hammer. I froze, glass halfway to my lips. Sabrina touched my arm, frowning. What is it? I didn't answer at first. My mind was spinning. Leah? Suits? A case? What could it mean? Then, slowly, a smile spread across my face. Because suddenly, Leah wasn't just the fragile little baker in a hospital bed. She was a door. And behind that door might be everything I'd ever wanted. I leaned back, sipping my drink, already plotting. Sabrina, I said, my voice low and steady. It looks like my dear wife has been keeping secrets. And whatever they just handed her, it's going to be ours. Her eyes lit up. She clinked her glass against mine and whispered, "Then let's take it." And that's how it began. Leah thought I was gone. She thought she was abandoned, forgotten. But she was wrong, because I was coming back. Not for her, not for love, but for whatever was in that case. And I would burn the whole world down before I let her keep it from me. I wasn't born with silver in my mouth. I was born with dust, broken windows, a father who walked out, and a mother who worked herself into the grave just to keep me fed. I used to watch the rich kids walk past me in polished shoes, their pockets stuffed with allowance money. And I swore, one day, I'd switch places with them. But people don't hand you wealth. You take it. Leah never understood that. When I first met her, she was sweet, soft, almost naive. And that worked for me. She made me look respectable, grounded. She gave me a story to tell at dinners. My wife runs a bakery. People smiled at that. It made me look steady, dependable. But the truth? Leah was small. Her world was small. And I was never going to stay small with her. I leaned back in the hotel suite that night. Sabrina sprawled across silk sheets beside me. City lights glittered outside the window like jewels. And I thought, this is the life I deserve. Sabrina poured another glass of champagne, her nails tracing my arm. "Forget Leah," she whispered. "She'll fade. But you and I, we'll shine." I want to believe her. I almost did. But then I thought about that phone call again. Men in suits. A leather case. Leah's name on their lips. No, she wasn't going to fade. Not yet. There was something there. Something big. And if Leah had it, it should have been mine. That night, I dreamed of vault doors swinging open. Of piles of cash, deeds, stocks, keys to kingdoms. And in every dream, Leah stood in front of me, holding it just out of reach. When I woke, I was sweating, angry, hungry, and I knew what I had to do. The next day, I dressed sharp. Gray suit, polished shoes, watch flashing under the sun. Sabrina adjusted my tie, kissed me with that dangerous smile, and said, "Go get it, Adrian. Whatever she has, it's ours. Ours." I liked the sound of that. So I went back to the hospital. Walking down that corridor, people stared. Doctors, nurses, even the patients in wheelchairs. They probably wondered why a man like me, expensive cologne, perfect stride, was wasting time in a place like this. But I wasn't wasting time. I was hunting. Through the glass window of Leah's room, I saw her. Pale, fragile, pathetic, still clinging to life like it was something precious. Beside her bed stood Nurse Olivia, flipping through charts. And near the corner, my stomach tightened. 2 men in suits, one of them holding the case. I froze. So it was true. They weren't random visitors. They were delivering something. And Leah, my useless, frail wife, was at the center of it. I clenched my jaw. Fury surged through me. What had she done to deserve this? She was nothing without me. Nothing. And yet, there they were, handing her something that should have been mine. I turned on my heel, storming back down the hall before they could notice me. My fist burned. My chest pounded. This wasn't over. I wasn't leaving empty-handed. Leah could cling to her kindness, her weakness, her hospital bed. But the second she laid hands on whatever was in that case, money, property, inheritance, I didn't care, she became a target. My target. Because I wasn't about to let her rise while I stayed in the shadows. No, Leah Foster was about to learn that the man she thought she had lost was coming back. And this time, I wasn't coming for her heart. I was coming for her fortune. And I'd stop at nothing, nothing to take it. The hospital room was too quiet, too clean. The air smelled like bleach and metal, and every beep from the monitor behind me felt louder than it should. My hands shook against the thin blanket. I thought I had already lost everything. My health, my husband, my dignity. And then the door opened. Two men stepped inside, gray suits, polished shoes that barely made a sound against the tiles. One of them carried a leather case with brass corners, the kind you'd expect to see in old films where fortunes change hands. Nurse Olivia straightened at my side. "Can I help you, gentlemen?" The taller one smiled politely. "We're here for Mrs. Leah Foster." My name, on his lips. My heart stuttered. "Yes," I whisper, my throat dry. "That's me." He nodded once. "My name is Mr. Franklin. I represent a private estate. We've come with a message that concerns you directly." "A message? For me?" I tried to sit up, but the four tugged at my arm. My whole body felt heavy, as if the air itself wanted to keep me pinned down. "Estate?" I asked, confused. "There must be a mistake. I don't have anything like that." Mr. Franklin set the leather case gently on the table beside me. The sound of the brass clasp clicking open filled the silence like a gunshot. Inside was a thick envelope sealed in wax, and a small key, iron, heavy old. He slid the envelope toward me. "This letter was left in trust. The key accompanies it. Mrs. Foster, you are the sole heir to an inheritance." The words didn't make sense. Sole heir. Inheritance. They swirled around me like smoke I couldn't grab hold of. I don't understand," I stammered. "Inheritance from who?" "My mother died years ago. My grandmother too. I don't have anyone left." Mr. Franklin adjusted his glasses, his face calm, deliberate. "Your late mother, Elaine Foster, left instructions. The full details are inside the letter. But I will tell you this much. The inheritance is substantial, valued at approximately—" He paused, as if the weight of the number itself demanded silence before it was spoken. $1.7 billion. The monitor beside me spiked. Beep, beep, beep. My breath caught in my throat. Billion. The word crashed against me like a tidal wave. Not thousand, not million. Billion. Nurse Olivia's eyes widened. "Did you say billion?" Mr. Franklin inclined his head. "Yes. 1.7 billion. Assets, properties, accounts. All under Mrs. Foster's name, effective immediately." The room tilted, the walls blurred. I gripped the sheets to anchor myself. A memory flashed, my grandmother's voice by lamplight. "Gentleness is a key, Leah. One day you'll need it." And now here was a key, heavy, cold, resting against the letter. Tears burned my eyes. "Why me?" I whispered. "Why now?" Mr. Franklin's expression softened. "Because she believed you would use it well. Because she knew the world would try to break you, and she wanted you to have the means to stand tall again." I pressed the envelope against my chest. My heartbeat thundered beneath it. 1.7 billion. The weight wasn't just money. It was legacy. It was responsibility. It was power. And with it came fear. Because if Adri ever found out, the thought cut me like a knife. He had left me, mocked me, traded me for Sabrina's perfume and painted nails. But for money? For this kind of money? He would come back. He would fight. He would destroy everything in his path to take it. I closed my eyes, gripping the key until it dug into my palm. "Stay calm, Leah. Stay gentle. Remember who you are." But inside, a storm was breaking loose. Mr. Franklin cleared his throat. "Mrs. Foster, there are conditions. The estate can only be released fully once you've presented yourself at the designated vault. Until then, this letter and key are your proof." "The vault." My voice trembled. "Yes, we'll escort you when you're ready." I nodded slowly, though the words barely reached me. Vault, estate, billion. Everything felt unreal. "Read the letter in your own time," he said gently. "But remember, Mrs. Foster, this inheritance is not just wealth. It is trust. Use it wisely." With that, he and his companion bowed slightly and left the room, the door clicking shut behind them. Silence fell again. Except now, it wasn't the silence of despair. It was the silence of a fuse burning down, seconds away from an explosion. Nurse Olivia touched my arm, her voice hushed. "Leah, do you know what this means?" I shook my head, tears spilling freely. I don't. I don't know anything anymore. But deep down, I did know one thing. Nothing would ever be the same again. I thought the hardest part was hearing the number. 1.7 billion. But I was wrong. The hardest part came after. The part where the door opened again. And this time, it wasn't Mr. Franklin. Adrian walked in like he owned the place. His suit was too sharp for a hospital room. His cologne too strong. His smile too smug. And right behind him, like a shadow dipped in red, was Sabrina. I froze. My hand tightened around the envelope under the blanket. He didn't look at my pale face. He didn't ask how I felt. His eyes went straight to the table, where the leather case had been before Mr. Franklin took it away. "Leah," he said smoothly, like we were old friends meeting for coffee. "You've had visitors. Important ones, I hear." My mouth went dry. "What are you doing here?" Adrian chuckled, brushing invisible dust from his sleeve. "I'm your husband. Where else would I be?" The lie stung. He hadn't been my husband in a long time. Not when he left me for her. Not when he posted sad face emojis instead of holding my hand. Sabrina leaned against the wall, twirling a lock of hair, her lips curling into that cruel smile I knew too well. Word travels fast in hospitals. Men in suits. A case. A key. Sounds exciting, Leah. Almost cinematic. I swallowed hard, my pulse racing. Nurse Olivia shifted closer, sensing the tension, but Adrian lifted a hand to silence her. His eyes locked on mine. "Cut the act, Leah. What did they give you?" I pressed the envelope tighter to my chest. "It's none of your business." His smile faltered just for a second, then sharpened again. "None of my business? You're my wife. Everything you have is my business." The words dripped like poison. Sabrina laughed softly. "Come on, Leah. Don't be selfish. You were never the ambitious one. You bake bread for free. You cried over pennies. Do you really think you can handle whatever this is?" She gestured vaguely, her eyes glittering. "It's better off with us." Us. The word made my stomach turn. I looked at Adrian, really looked at him. The man who once held my hand at a street fair. The man who kissed me under blooming dogwoods. He was gone, replaced by a wolf in a silk suit, eyes hungry, mouth curved in greed. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel weak in front of him. I felt angry. "This isn't yours," I said quietly. My voice shook, but the words were firm. "Not yours. Not hers. Mine." Adrian's eyes narrowed. The mask slipped, and I saw the fury underneath. "You think you can keep something like this from me?" "From me?" "Leah, without me, you'd still be that little girl with flour on her hands and nothing in her pockets." I clenched the key until the edges bit into my palm. "Without me, you'd still be chasing scraps. Don't forget who carried you when you had nothing." The silence cracked like glass. Sabrina's smirk faltered. Adrian's jaw tightened. Then he moved. Quick, sudden, like a striking snake. His hand shot out toward the envelope under my blanket. But this time, I didn't freeze. I pulled back, holding the letter tight against me. My heart pounded, but my voice was steady. "Don't you dare." He stopped, his hand inches from mine, stunned. For a moment, the room was still. And then, softly, I whispered the words that had been echoing in my mind since Mr. Franklin left. "This is bigger than you, Adrian. Bigger than greed. Bigger than betrayal. You left me for your lover, but you won't take this. Not now. Not ever." His face twisted, rage spilling through the cracks. Sabrina stepped forward, ready to strike with her tongue, but Nurse Olivia blocked her path, her voice firm. "That's enough. Both of you need to leave. Now." Adrian stared at me, his chest rising and falling, his fists clenched. For the first time, I saw something flicker in his eyes that wasn't confidence. It was fear. He leaned close, his voice low, venomous. "This isn't over, Leah. Whatever's in that letter, whatever that key unlocks, it's mine. And I'll get it, one way or another." Then he turned sharply, storming out, Sabrina's heels clicking after him like knives on tile. The door slammed. Silence. I collapsed back against the pillows, shaking, clutching the envelope to my chest. My breath came fast, but inside me, something had shifted. For the first time since Adrian walked out of my life, I wasn't just surviving. I was standing, and I swore, right there in that sterile hospital room, with Nurse Olivia watching over me and the envelope pressed to my heart, that no matter what Adrian did, no matter how he schemed, I would protect what was mine. Not for greed, not for revenge, but because my grandmother was right. Gentleness was a key. And now, I finally had one. If you made it this far into Leah's story and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, why? Seriously, why? You just watched betrayal, greed, and $1 billion inheritance unfold right in front of you. And if you can walk away without subscribing, then at least do us one favor. Drop a comment and explain why you think this story isn't worth your click. But if you do care about seeing how Leah fights back, if you want to watch Adrian and Sabrina burn in their own greed, then smash that subscribe button right now. Don't just watch, stand with Leah. The room felt heavier after Adrian left. Not because of his cologne or Sabrina's perfume, but because of the poison they'd spit into the air. Words don't fade quickly when they're sharp in a cut. I sat there gripping the envelope to my chest, my hand aching from holding the key so tight. My heart told me it was real. My eyes told me it was real. But my mind whispered, this can't be true. Not you. Not Leah Foster. You don't inherit billions. You inherit bills. Nurse Olivia leaned close. You're shaking, she said gently. I'm fine, I lied. But I wasn't fine. My chest felt tight, my thoughts tangled. I wanted to believe Mr. Franklin, but what if Adrian was right? What if I wasn't strong enough? What if the money swallowed me whole? I remembered his words. Without me, you'd still be that little girl with flour on her hands. Maybe he was right. My throat burned. I looked down at my trembling hands, pale against the white sheet. Maybe this is a mistake, I whispered. Maybe the letter wasn't meant for me. Olivia frowned, her eyes fierce in a way that surprised me. Leah, listen to me. I've seen women like you before. People walk all over you, and you let them because you think being kind means being weak. But it doesn't. You deserve this. Whoever left it for you knew what they were doing. Don't you dare give that man the satisfaction of seeing you doubt yourself. Her words pierced me, but part of me still resisted. Billionaire, heiress? That wasn't me. I was just Leah, the baker who gave away bread. I closed my eyes, and in the dark, I heard my grandmother's voice again. Gentleness is a key, Leah. One day you'll need it. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe this wasn't just a cruel trick of fate. But then the whispers started. It began small. 2 nurses by the desk. A cleaner rolling a cart. I caught their words as they floated in through the half-open door. Men in suits. A fortune. The sick woman in 214. My stomach dropped. Already? By the time Olivia returned with water, I could hear more. The words spreading like cracks in glass. Inheritance. Billion. Lucky. Lucky. I wanted to laugh. Was it luck that Adrian betrayed me? Was it luck that my body broke down until I collapsed in my bakery? Was it luck that I lay here, pale and trembling, barely able to breathe without a machine reminding me I was still alive? No, this wasn't luck. It was something else. Something heavier. And then, as if summoned by my dread, I saw him. Adrian. Not in my room. Not yet. But in the corridor, leaning against the wall, arms folded, his eyes burning holes through the glass window. He wasn't smiling this time. He wasn't pretending. His face was hard, his jaw tight, his gaze locked on me like a predator watching prey. My breath caught. I clutched the envelope tighter. Olivia followed my gaze and stiffened. Do you want me to call security? I shook my head quickly, my voice barely a whisper. No, that'll only make him worse. Because I knew Adrian. He didn't like losing. And right now, in his mind, he was losing. Our eyes met through the glass. For a moment, it felt like the whole hospital vanished. Just him. Just me. Just the storm between us. He lifted his chin, the corner of his mouth twisting into the faintest, cruelest smirk. And in that silent moment, I understood what he was saying without words. This isn't over. You can cling to your little letter, your little key. But I'm coming back for it. For you. And when I do, you won't stop me. I swallowed hard, the weight of his stare pressing down on me like a hand around my throat. And still, I didn't look away, because deep inside, beneath the fear, beneath the shaking, a spark burned. Small, fragile, but alive. For the first time, I thought maybe I could resist him. The thing about silence is it never lasts. Not when Adrian is nearby. By the next morning, the whispers had grown louder. When the nurse changed my four, she avoided my eyes. When the cleaner emptied the bin, he lingered too long, like he wanted a closer look at me. And then Sabrina arrived. She didn't knock. She didn't ask permission. She strolled in like the room was hers, heels clicking, perfume choking the sterile air. A bouquet dangled from her hand, red roses with thorns sharp enough to draw blood. Well, she purred, setting the flowers down with a flourish. The hospital's golden patient, or should I say golden ticket. I stiffened. Go away. She laughed, tossing her hair back. Don't be so touchy, Leah. Everyone's talking. Inheritance this, fortune that. Honestly, it's ridiculous. You? Worth billions. Her eyes skimmed me from head to toe. You can barely sit up without help. How do you plan to manage money that powerful? Her words sliced deep, because part of me believed her. She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper only I could hear. You don't deserve it. You know that, right? Adrian built you. He gave you everything. Without him, you'd still be a nobody handing out bread for free. I wanted to scream. I wanted to slap her. But my hand stayed tight on the envelope, my voice small. It's mine, not yours, not his. Mine. Her smile turned sharp. We'll see about that. And then she left, heels clicking like a countdown, leaving the roses behind. Red, thorn, bleeding against the white table. I stared at them until my vision blurred. Was she right? Did I deserve this? I pressed the key against my palm, the cold metal biting into my skin. I wanted to believe it meant something. I wanted to believe I wasn't a mistake. But the doubts clawed at me. That's when I saw her. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light. But no, there she was, pushing her mop bucket slowly down the hall. The silver-haired woman. Martha. She paused at my door, eyes glinting like moonlight in deep water. She didn't speak. She just looked at me, then at the roses on the table, then back at me. And she shook her head. I blinked, my throat tight. What do I do? I whispered. Her lips moved silently, forming words I barely caught. Resist. Then she turned and walked away, her mop squeaking across the tiles, vanishing into the corridor as if she had never been there. Resist. The word echoed in my mind. Resist Adrian's lies. Resist Sabrina's poison. Resist the part of me that wanted to curl up and surrender. I gripped the envelope tighter, my pulse steadying, my chest rising with new breath. No, I wasn't going to let them take this from me. Not because I wanted wealth. Not because I wanted revenge. But because this inheritance wasn't just money. It was trust. My mother's trust. My grandmother's trust. A lifetime of lessons whispered by lamplight, pressed into my hands in the shape of a key. And I wouldn't let Adrian or Sabrina stain it. Not now. Not ever. Resist. The word echoed in my skull, pounding in time with a monitor beside me. Resist the whispers. Resist the lies. Resist him. I looked down at the letter, at the key, at the proof that I wasn't weak or small or disposable. I wasn't going to surrender this. Not to Sabrina. Not to Adrian. Not even to my own fear. I pressed the envelope against my chest and whispered aloud, steady for the first time, it's mine, and I will not let them take it. The words felt like fire. Small, but alive. And for the first time since I collapsed in my bakery, I didn't feel like prey. I felt like someone learning to fight back. The word resist echoed in my chest all night. Like a drumbeat I couldn't silence. But resisting is one thing. Surviving is one thing. What do you do when the wolf doesn't leave the door? I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Adrian in the corridor, waiting, smirking, planning. By morning, my body felt heavier, but my mind sharper. The envelope still lay under my pillow, the key clenched in my hand. I hadn't opened it. Not yet. Maybe I was afraid of what the words would say. Or maybe I was afraid they would confirm what I already knew. My life no longer belonged to me alone. The door creaked open, and there he was. Adrian. He didn't knock. He never knocked. He strolled in with that arrogant grace, a wolf wearing silk. This time, he came alone. No Sabrina. Just him and that smooth, poisonous smile. Leah, he said warmly, too warmly. You look better today. I almost laughed. Better? I looked like a ghost, and he knew it. I sat up straighter, clutching the blanket tight. What do you want? He dragged the chair closer to my bed, sat down, and leaned forward. I came to talk. Just us. No noise, no drama. We've had our differences, but we can fix this. My stomach twisted. Fix this. He nodded, his eyes searching mine. Yes, we don't have to fight. Whatever those men gave you, whatever this is, we can handle it together. You and me, Leah, like old times. Remember when it was just us? The bakery, the late nights, the dreams? His words dripped with honey, sweet on the surface, rotten underneath. I shook my head, my voice sharp. There is no us. Not anymore. His jaw flexed, but the smile stayed. Don't be like that. I know I've made mistakes. But deep down, you know we belong together. You can't handle this alone. You're not built for it. Billionaires, they're sharks. You're a bird with broken wings. But me? I know how to swim in their waters. I can protect you. Protect what's yours. All you have to do is let me back in. My fingers dug into the blanket. His words were knives wrapped in velvet. Part of me wanted to believe him, not because I trusted him, but because I wanted to be free of the weight pressing on my chest. But then I remembered Sabrina's perfume on his shirts, her laughter in his phone at midnight, his smirk as he left me in this very bed. No, I whispered. His smile cracked, just a little. Think carefully, Leah. You don't want to make me your enemy. I met his eyes. You already are. The silence between us was sharp enough to cut. He leaned back slowly, his smile gone now, replaced with something harder. You'll regret this. Then he stood and walked out, his polished shoes tapping like a metronome of doom. That afternoon, Sabrina came instead. But this time, she didn't come quietly. She came with two women from the ward trailing behind her, whispering and giggling. She marched into my room like it was a stage, her heels striking, her voice loud enough for everyone in the corridor to hear. There she is, she announced, spreading her arms wide. The billion-dollar patient. Laughter rippled from the doorway. My cheeks burned. I gripped the blanket, wishing it would swallow me whole. Sabrina sauntered to my bedside, her eyes glittering. Tell us, Leah, what's it like to be worth more than everyone else in this hospital combined? Oh, wait, you haven't even opened the letter, have you? She leaned close, her perfume suffocating. You're too scared, too weak. I tried to speak, but my throat tightened. The women in the doorway whispered louder, their eyes glued to me. I felt naked, exposed. Sabrina straightened, her voice sharp. See? She can't even defend herself. Adrian and I will handle it. We'll take care of it, because she's clearly not capable. The laughter stung worse than knives. And then, out of nowhere, a voice cut through it all. Enough. Nurse Olivia. She stormed into the room, her eyes blazing, her voice steady as stone. This is a hospital, not a circus. You don't belong here. Out. Now. The women scattered, muttering. Sabrina smirked, but for the first time, I saw a flicker of unease in her eyes. She leaned close to me one last time. You'll break, Leah, she hissed. And when you do, we'll be waiting. Then she swept out, her heels clicking like gunshots. Silence filled the room again. I buried my face in my hands, tears hot against my palms. She's right, I whispered. I can't do this. I'm not strong enough. Olivia gripped my shoulders firmly. Listen to me, Leah. They're trying to break you because they're afraid. Do you hear me? They're afraid of you. Why else would they fight so hard to tear you down? Her words sank into me, deeper than Sabrina's poison. Afraid. Adrian. Sabrina. The wolves were afraid of me, the bird with broken wings. I wiped my eyes, my breath steadying. Then maybe it's time I stop just resisting. Olivia tilted her head. What do you mean? I held up the key, its iron teeth catching the light. If I keep hiding, they'll keep circling. I can't run from this anymore. I have to face it. I have to fight. The word felt foreign on my tongue. Fight, but also felt right. Because resisting wasn't enough anymore. Not when Adrian and Sabrina were waiting for me to fall. I closed my eyes, clutching the key tight. Grandma, if you can hear me, give me strength. Because this time, I can't just survive. I have to win. They say money changes people, but sometimes it doesn't change you at all. It changes the people circling around you. I learned that the hard way. The day after Sabrina's public ambush, the hospital felt different. Heavier. Every time the door opened, my chest tightened. Every whisper in the corridor felt sharper, directed at me. I wasn't imagining it. Nurse Olivia confirmed it while adjusting my four. Rumors are flying, Leah. Some staff are saying reporters have been calling. Words spreading outside these walls. Reporters. The thought made my stomach churn. Strangers sniffing around, hungry for a headline. Baker's wife inherits billions. Husband left her, fortune found her. I pressed the envelope tighter to my chest. I can't do this. I'm not ready for the world to see me like this. Olivia looked at me firmly. Then you show them strength, even if you have to fake it. But strength was hard to find when the wolves wouldn't stop circling. That evening, Adrian came again. He didn't barge in this time. He slipped inside, quietly, like smoke filling a room. His smile was soft, too soft. "Leah," he said, pulling the chair close. "I've been thinking." My body tensed. "About what?" "About us," he said smoothly. "About everything. Look, I was wrong before. I let Sabrina distract me. But that doesn't matter now. What matters is us. We can still fix this. Together. This inheritance, it's a blessing, Leah, but it's also dangerous. People will come for it. You can't face that alone. But with me," he reached for my hand. "With me, you'd be safe." I pulled my hand back quickly. "Safe? You left me. You mocked me. You paraded her in here like I was nothing." His smile flickered, but he didn't stop. "I was a fool. I see that now. But think, Leah, billionaires don't play fair. They use lawyers, threats, even violence. You're not built for that. But I am. I can handle it. I can protect you. Protect me." The words almost made me laugh. Adrian, the man who abandoned me, wanted me to believe he'd protect me now. I steadied my voice. "You don't want to protect me. You want to control me. And I won't let you." His eyes darkened, but his smile held. "Don't be rash. You've always been gentle. Sweet. That's what I loved about you. But don't confuse gentleness with power. You can't win this alone." My chest burned, my grandmother's words echoing in my mind. "Gentleness is a key." "I'm not alone," I whispered. "Not anymore." His smile dropped completely. The wolf showed his teeth. "We'll see." He stood abruptly, the chair scraping the floor, and left without another word. Hours later, Sabrina appeared again. Not with flowers this time. With her phone. She recorded herself walking into my room, her voice sugary sweet for the camera. "Say hi to the people, Leah," she said, angling the lens toward me. "The billionaire baker's wife. Poor thing, doesn't even know what to do with her fortune. Should we tell them you're wasting away in bed while Adrian and I are ready to step in and manage things?" I turned my face away, tears stinging. Olivia rushed in, snapping, "Turn that off now." Sabrina laughed, slipping out the door before Olivia could grab her. Her laughter echoed down the hall. The video would be online within hours. I knew it. My humiliation, public. My weakness, on display. I pressed the key against my chest, whispering resist. But the word felt thin, fragile against the storm building outside. That night, I couldn't rest. Shadows crawled across the walls, whispers filled the corridors, and every creak of the door made me flinch. And then, I heard it. Footsteps. Heavy. Slow. The door handle rattled. My heart stopped. But when the door opened, it wasn't Adrian. It wasn't Sabrina. It was her. The silver-haired woman. Martha. She stepped inside, silently, her mop trailing water on the floor. She looked at me, her eyes deep as wells, and spoke for the first time in more than a whisper. "Child," she said softly, "the wolves are hungry. But remember, the lamb is not powerless. The lamb has teeth too, if she dares to bite." I swallowed hard, but I don't know how. She set the mop aside, coming closer. Her hand, wrinkled but steady, rested on mine. "You will. Trust what was left for you. Trust yourself. The key is not just iron. It is a choice. Bite, Leah. Bite before they devour you." And just like that, she turned and left, vanishing down the hall as if she had never been there. Her words echoed in my bones. "Bite." I looked down at the key in my hand, its teeth glinting in the dim light. And for the first time, I thought maybe I could. All my life, I thought survival meant keeping quiet, enduring, waiting for storms to pass. But storms don't pass when the people making them never stop. They only grow. And for the first time in my life, I knew silence would kill me faster than sickness ever could. The envelope still lay beneath my pillow. Days had passed since Mr. Franklin handed it to me, and still I hadn't opened it. Fear had nailed my hand still, but after Martha's words, I couldn't ignore it anymore. Bite. My fingers shook as I slid the envelope out. The wax seal cracked beneath my thumb, a sound so sharp it seemed to echo in the quiet room. Inside was a single letter, written in my grandmother's delicate hand. I read it once, twice, 3 times. My vision blurred with tears, but the words burned into me. "Leah, if you are reading this, it means you have survived long enough to inherit not just wealth, but responsibility. This fortune was not meant for greed. It was meant to build, to protect, to restore. You have always been gentle, but never mistake gentleness for weakness. Money will reveal the hearts of those around you. Some will love you less, some will hate you more. But remember this, the fortune is not the treasure. You are. And if wolves come for you, show them the teeth they never believed you had. The letter slipped from my hands, landing in my lap. My sobs shook the bed, but beneath them, something else stirred. Strength. I wasn't just fighting for money. I was fighting for her, for the trust she placed in me. The door opened suddenly. Adrian. This time, he didn't bother with charm. His face was hard, his eyes sharp. He strode to my bedside and pointed at the letter. Give it to me. I pressed it against my chest. No. His jaw clenched. You don't know what you're doing, Leah. You'll waste it. You'll lose it. And when you do, they'll laugh at you. You need me. I lifted my chin, my voice steady for the first time. I don't need you. Not anymore. He froze. The words hit him like a slap. Before he could recover, Sabrina slipped in behind him, phone in hand. She's still clutching it like a child. She sneered, pressing record. Adrian, just take it from her. She'll thank you later. I turned toward her, my chest burning. No, you don't get to film me anymore. You don't get to humiliate me. She laughed. What are you going to do, Leah? You can barely stand. My hand trembled, but I raised the key high enough for the camera to see. I don't have to stand. I just have to bite. And I will. If you come for what's mine, I'll fight you with everything I have. For the first time, Sabrina's smile faltered. Adrian's eyes narrowed, his jaw flexing, but he didn't move. Silence stretched. And then Olivia stepped into the doorway, her voice like steel. You heard her. Out. Adrian glared at me one last time before storming out, Sabrina's heels clicking behind him. When the door shut, I collapsed back into my pillows, clutching the letter and the key, my breath shaking but fierce. I had spoken the words out loud, not just to them, to myself. I wasn't praying anymore. I was ready to fight. There's a moment in every storm where you realize you're not drowning anymore. You're swimming. The waves are still high, the water's still cold, but you're no longer gasping for air. You're moving with it, fighting it. That's where I was now. The letter didn't leave my side. Neither did the key. I tucked them into a drawer under my bed when staff changed shifts, but at night, I pressed them against my chest, whispering my grandmother's words over and over. You are the treasure. The whispers in the hospital grew louder. Reporters started calling the reception desk. I saw flashes of cameras when the elevator doors opened. I was becoming a headline, whether I wanted to or not. And Adrian? He was unraveling. He came again the next morning, this time with a lawyer. A tall man in a gray suit who carried a folder under his arm. Adrian's face was tight, his smile stretched too thin. Leah, he said smoothly, this is Mr. Daniels. He's here to help us sort things properly. All you need to do is sign some documents. It'll take the pressure off you. Pressure. That's what he called it. Mr. Daniels slid a paper toward me. This is a temporary trust agreement. It simply states that your assets will be managed jointly. It's standard procedure in cases like this. Less stress for you, more security all around. I didn't touch it. So I signed this. And Adrian controls my inheritance? Adrian's smile didn't crack, but his eyes flared. No, Leah, we control it. Together. Like it should be. I shook my head slowly. No, I'm not signing anything. His hand slammed onto the paper, making me flinch. Don't be stupid, Leah. You can't handle this. You'll lose everything before you even start. I swallowed, my heart pounding, but I met his eyes. Then let me lose it. At least it will be mine. For a moment, the room froze. Even Mr. Daniels seemed stunned. Adrian's jaw clenched, his knuckles white on the table. Then he stood abruptly, grabbing the folder, his voice low with rage. You'll regret this. He stormed out, the lawyer scrambling to follow. That night, Sabrina returned. Not alone this time, with her phone in hand, live streaming. Say hi, Leah, she chirped, turning the camera toward me. Comments scrolled on her screen, hearts and laughing emojis filling the feed. Look at her, everyone. The billionaire patient who thinks she's too good for help. Tell them, Leah, why won't you let Adrian protect you? The humiliation cut deep, but this time, something in me snapped. I sat up straighter, my voice steady. Because Adrian doesn't want to protect me. He wants to own me. And I looked straight in her camera. You want to see me broken? But I'm not broken. Not anymore. So go ahead, stream this. Show them the truth. Show them I'm still here. Show them I won't bow to either of you. Sabrina blinked, her smirk faltering as the comments began to turn. Queen, she's stronger than you think. Team Leah, Her jaw tightened. She ended the stream abruptly, muttering under her breath as she stormed out. I leaned back against the pillows, my heart racing, but my spirit steady. For the first time, I hadn't just defended myself. I had struck back, and the world had seen it. But the wolves weren't done. The next morning, hospital security stopped a reporter at the entrance. Adrian's face was splashed across an online article. Estranged husband claims wife incompetent to manage fortune. He was going public now, turning strangers against me. I sat with Olivia, the article glowing on her phone. My hands trembled, but not with fear. With fury. "He wants a war," I whispered. Olivia nodded. "Then give him one. On your terms." Adrian thought he could break me with paper. Sabrina thought she could break me with cameras. But the truth? The more they pushed, the stronger I felt. Like steel beaten in fire. The flames hurt, but they were shaping me into something harder than either of them expected. The smear article spread fast. By afternoon, nurses scrolled it on their phones, whispering. Some avoided eye contact. Others offered sympathetic smiles. Olivia showed me the comments. Half the world thought I was a helpless fool, the other half a quiet storm. That night, Adrian returned. Alone. No lawyer. No charm. Just rage. He slammed the door shut behind him, his voice a hiss. "You made me look like a fool." I sat up, gripping the key. "I didn't make you anything. You did that yourself." He stalled closer, eyes wild. "You think you can stand against me? You think anyone will believe you over me? I'll drag you through court, Leah. I'll bleed you dry. By the time I'm done, you'll wish you had signed that paper." Fear twisted in my stomach, but I didn't look away. "Do it then. Drag me through court. Bleed me dry. Because even if I lose every penny, I'll still have one thing you'll never get back." He sneered. "And what's that?" I took a shaky breath. "Myself. My freedom. My strength." For the first time, he flinched. Just a flicker. But I saw it. Then he leaned close, his breath hot against my ear. "This isn't over." He stormed out, the door rattling on its hinges. The next morning, Sabrina struck. She burst into my room with a box of pastries from my old bakery, her laughter sharp. "Look what I found. The little empire you used to run. Doesn't look so mighty now, does it?" She dropped the box on my lap. Stale, crumbling bread. A cruel reminder of what I'd lost. "Adrian told me everything," she sneered. "You cried yourself to sleep in that bakery. You gave food away instead of making a profit. You were pathetic. And now you think you'll manage billions." I stared at the bread, my chest tight. For a moment, shame clawed at me. Then I remembered my grandmother's words. "The fortune is not the treasure. You are." I looked Sabrina dead in the eyes. "You're right. I gave bread away. Because people were hungry. Because I cared. That bakery may have been small, but it fed more souls than you ever will. And if that makes me pathetic, then I'll wear it proudly." For the first time, she had no words. She shoved the box into the trash and stormed out, her silence louder than her insults. By evening, the pressure grew worse. Reporters camped outside the hospital. Online, hashtags spread like wildfire. Some mocked me. Others defended me. And in the middle of it all, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Hope. Not because the world suddenly loved me, but because I realized I wasn't invisible anymore. My voice, my story, people were listening. That night, I sat with Olivia, the letter in my lap, the key in my hand. My voice was quiet but steady. They won't stop. They'll keep coming until I break. So I can't just wait anymore. I have to fight back. Olivia squeezed my hand. Then fight. But fight smart. Use what they fear most, the truth. I nodded slowly, my heart pounding with something new. Determination. I looked at the camera on Sabrina's abandoned livestream setup, still sitting in the corner where she left it days ago. For the first time, I thought about turning it on myself. Not to beg, not to explain, to declare war. Adrian thought I'd fold. Sabrina thought I'd crumble. But they both forgot something. The lamb they mocked has teeth. And I'm done hiding them. If you've been following Leah's fight this far, you know this is no longer just survival. It's war. And let me ask you something. How can you watch her standing against Adrian and Sabrina and still not be subscribed? Seriously, if you haven't smashed that button yet, tell me why in the comments. Go on, explain it. Because if you're here, if you've seen the betrayal, the humiliation, and the fire she's finally finding inside herself, then you owe it to Leah to subscribe right now. There comes a point where fear burns itself out. It doesn't disappear. It doesn't stop gnawing. But it changes. It turns into fuel. And once it ignites, there's no going back. That was the night I stopped being prey. The hospital was louder than ever. Reporters outside shouted my name through megaphones, their voices echoing in the corridors. Nurses whispered behind their hands. Patients craned their necks when I was wheeled past for tests. Adrian and Sabrina had turned me into a spectacle. But if they thought I'd cower forever, they didn't know me anymore. The camera Sabrina left behind still sat in the corner of my room. For days, I'd stared at it, imagining what it would feel like to speak into it, to take control of the story they'd twisted. That night, I couldn't hold back anymore. I asked Olivia to set it up. She hesitated, but when she saw the fire in my eyes, she nodded. "Are you sure?" she asked softly. "Yes," I said steady. "If I don't tell my story, they'll keep telling it for me." She angled the camera toward my bed, the little red light glowing as it turned on. My heart pounded, but I kept my voice calm. I looked straight into the lens, straight into the eyes of whoever was watching. "My name is Leah Foster. You've probably heard 1,000 rumors about me by now, that I'm weak, that I'm foolish, that I don't deserve what I've been given. Maybe you've even heard it from the people closest to me. My husband, his lover." The words burned on my tongue, but I didn't flinch. I won't pretend I'm strong. I've been broken, betrayed, left in this hospital bed while the people I loved most mocked me. And yes, I was afraid. I doubted myself. I almost gave in, but not anymore. Because this inheritance, it isn't just money. It's a legacy, a responsibility. And I refuse to let greed, lies, and cruelty steal it from me. My hands shook, but I leaned closer to the camera, my voice firm. They left me here to die, but I'm still breathing. And as long as I breathe, I will fight. Not just for what's mine, but for the truth. So if you've been watching me and thinking I'm weak, think again. The lamb has teeth, and I'm done hiding them. I ended the recording with my hands trembling, my heart racing. Olivia's eyes shimmered with tears. "Leah, that was powerful." I nodded, my throat tight. "Send it out. Post it everywhere. Let them see me. All of me." The video spread faster than fire on dry grass. By morning, my name trended online. Not as a victim, not as a fool, but as a woman standing tall, even from a hospital bed. Queen Leah, the lamb has teeth. Team Leah, forever. The tide was turning. For the first time, Adrian and Sabrina weren't in control of the story. I was, and they hated it. Adrian stormed into my room that afternoon, his phone clenched in his fist, his face red with fury. "What did you do?" he spat. I sat up straighter, my voice calm. "I told the truth." "You humiliated me," he growled. "No," I said. "You did that yourself. I just stopped covering for you." He leaned closer, his eyes blazing. "Do you think this makes you safe? You made enemies now. Real ones. People who will want a piece of what you have. And when they come for you, you'll wish you had me." I met his stare, unblinking. "I'd rather face them alone than stand beside you." His mouth twisted, but before he could speak again, Olivia stepped in, her voice sharp. "Out. Now." Adrian's glare lingered on me, a silent promise of war, before he turned and stormed out. Sabrina struck next. She barged into the hospital cafeteria, where I was being wheeled by Olivia, her phone live-streaming again. "There she is," she shouted, spinning the camera toward me. "The woman playing hero for the internet. Say hi, Leah. Tell them how brave you are." The crowd turned, whispers spreading like wildfire. I looked straight at Sabrina's phone, my voice steady. "You want to film me? Fine. Film this." Adrian left me. "You mocked me. You both tried to break me. And yet here I am, still standing, still fighting. And every time you point that camera at me, all you're doing is showing the world how desperate you are to bring me down. But you can't. Not anymore." The cafeteria erupted in applause. Some staff clapped. A few patients cheered. Sabrina's smile faltered as the livestream comments flooded with support for me. She ended the stream abruptly, her face pale with rage, before storming out. That night, I sat alone with the letter again. My grandmother's words glowed on the page like firelight. "The fortune is not the treasure. You are." For the first time, I believed it. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was fighting back, and I was winning. Wolves don't retreat when they're hungry. They get bolder, desperate. Adrian and Sabrina had lost control of the story, but that only made them more dangerous. And I knew the next strike wouldn't just be words. The hospital buzzed with tension. My video had painted me as more than a victim, and strangers across the world sent messages of support. But in the shadows of that hope, I felt the danger sharpening. It came at night. I woke to the sound of my door opening, softer than usual. My heart thudded as I reached for the key under my pillow. Sabrina slipped inside, her face pale in the moonlight. She wasn't live-streaming this time. No audience. Just her eyes glittering with malice. "Where is it?" she hissed. I froze. What? The letter. The key. Don't play dumb, Leah. Adrian says you're hiding it. And he's right. Hand it over, and maybe we'll stop making your life hell. My chest tightened, but I gripped the key tighter under the blanket. No. Her smile twisted. Do you really think you can protect it forever? You can't even protect yourself. Adrian and we're stronger, smarter. And when you're gone, it'll be ours anyway. The words hit like ice. When you're gone. She leaned closer, her voice sharp as glass. So why don't you save yourself the pain and give it to us now? Fear clawed at me, but beneath it burned something fiercer. Rage. I sat up slowly, my voice shaking but firm. You think you're strong because you take from people. But real strength isn't in stealing. It's in surviving. It's in building. And no matter how many times you come here, no matter how many cameras you point at me, you'll never take that from me. Ever. For the first time, I saw uncertainty flicker in her eyes. Before she could reply, Olivia's voice rang out behind her. Get out. Sabrina spun around, startled. Olivia stood in the doorway, her arms crossed, her eyes blazing. This isn't your playground. Leave, or I'll have security drag you out. Sabrina hissed under her breath, then stormed past Olivia, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. I collapsed back onto the pillows, clutching the key to my chest. My breath came in sharp bursts, but I wasn't broken. Not this time. Olivia sat beside me, her voice soft. She's desperate. That means you're winning. Winning. The word felt strange, but right. The next day, Adrian came. Not alone this time, with two men in dark suits. His face was cold, his smile gone. Leah, he said, his tone flat. I tried to reason with you. I tried to help, but you forced my hand. If you won't hand it over willingly, then legally, I'll take it. He dropped a thick folder onto my bedside table. Legal papers. Court threats. The smell of ink and intimidation. My hand shook, but I lifted the folder and dropped it to the floor. The papers scattered like snow. No, I said simply. His eyes narrowed. You'll regret this. I leaned forward, my voice steady, almost calm. Maybe, but at least the regret will be mine. Not yours. Not hers. Mine. For the first time, he didn't reply. He just stared at me, his jaw tight, his fists clenched. Then he turned sharply, signaling to his men, and left without another word. That night, I sat with the letter and key once more. My grandmother's words echoed louder than ever. If wolves come for you, show them the teeth they never believed you had. I whispered to myself, steady, unshakable, I am the treasure. And I have teeth. The next morning, I acted. With Olivia's help, I recorded one final video. Not from my bed this time, but sitting upright, the letter and key on the table before me. My name is Leah Foster, I said into the lens. And I am done being silent. Adrian and Sabrina have tried to break me. They've mocked me, humiliated me, and threatened me. But I'm still here, still standing. And I'm not afraid of them anymore. This inheritance is mine. Not because of luck, not because of greed, but because my grandmother trusted me to carry her legacy. And I will. I lifted the key, its teeth catching the light. They call me a lamb. Maybe I am. But even lambs have teeth. And if you come for what's mine, you'll see just how sharp they are. I ended the recording and sent it out. Within hours, the world was on fire. My words spread across platforms, my name trending again. But this time, not as a victim, not as a spectacle, but as a fighter. Adrian and Sabrina had lost. Not just the inheritance, not just control. They had lost me, and I would never be theirs again. The first breath of air outside the hospital didn't feel real. After weeks of machines, whispers, and wolves at my door, stepping out felt like waking into another life. And maybe it was. The day I was discharged, reporters crowded the entrance. Cameras flashed, questions flew like arrows. Olivia pushed my wheelchair steadily, her voice firm as she told them to step back. Leah, are you really worth $1.7 billion? Leah, do you have anything to say about your husband's accusations? Leah, how does it feel to be the most talked about woman in the country? Their words buzzed around me, but I didn't flinch. I sat tall, my grandmother's letter tucked safely in my bag, the key around my neck on a chain. I looked at the cameras and said calmly, the truth speaks for itself. The flashes burned my eyes, but I didn't look away. Adrian and Sabrina weren't there to see me walk out, but I knew they were watching. Their smear campaign had backfired spectacularly. After my videos, public opinion turned. Sponsors pulled away from Adrian's ventures. Sabrina's livestream followers flooded her with ridicule instead of praise. The wolves had overplayed their hand. That night, Olivia and I sat in the quiet of her small apartment, away from the chaos. She poured me tea, her voice softer than ever. You did it, Leah. You survived them. I shook my head gently. No, I did more than survive. I stood. For once in my life, I didn't let them tell me who I am. She smiled. And who are you? I touched the key in my chest, my voice steady. I'm Leah Foster. Granddaughter. Baker. Survivor. Heiress. Fighter. All of it. And I won't let anyone take that from me again. But the fight wasn't over. The next morning, headlines screamed about Adrian and Sabrina's downfall. Adrian King under investigation for fraudulent claims. Sabrina Lane loses sponsorships after online backlash. I sat at the table with my tea, reading the words slowly, letting them sink in. For so long, Adrian's shadow had smothered me. His voice had defined me. But now, his empire was crumbling, and for once, I wasn't buried beneath it. I was free. That afternoon, I really walked, through the park near Olivia's place. The air was crisp, the trees alive with green. Children laughed, dogs barked, life buzzed all around me. I sat on a bench, the sunlight warming my skin, and thought of my grandmother. Her voice echoed inside me. Gentleness is a key. I understood her now. Gentleness hadn't been my weakness. It had been my strength. The thing Adrian mocked, the thing Sabrina ridiculed. It was the very thing that had saved me. And now, it would guide me forward. But even in that peace, I knew one thing for certain. Adrian wasn't finished. Wolves rarely are, and that meant I couldn't just rest. I had to be ready. I tightened my grip on the key, my voice low but certain. I'm not afraid of you anymore. The wind carried the words away, but I knew they'd find him somehow. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't whispering to survive. I was speaking to life. Freedom doesn't come all at once. It comes in pieces, in breaths, in steps, in choices. I thought leaving the hospital would be the end, but it was only the beginning. The world didn't stop watching me. Every headline, every article, every video clip dissected my story. But for once, the story wasn't twisted by Adrian or Sabrina. It was mine. And the wolves? They were starting to pay for their hunger. Adrian's face plastered the news as investigations opened into his finances. Fraud, false claims, business partners stepping back. One by one, the foundations of his pride cracked. Sabrina fared no better. Her sponsors abandoned her. Her followers turned, flooding her streams with jeers instead of praise. The same camera she used to humiliate me became her cage. Every broadcast, another reminder of her fall. Watching it unfold didn't fill me with glee. It filled me with something quieter. Justice. Because finally, their claws were no longer in me. One evening, as I sat with Olivia, the TV blaring news about Adrian's collapse, she asked softly, "What will you do now, Leah, with all of this?" I looked down at the key resting against my chest, its iron teeth glinting in the lamplight. "I'll build," I whispered. "Not the way Adrian would. Not the way Sabrina thinks. I'll build something that lasts. Something that feeds, protects, restores like Grandma wanted." Olivia smiled. Then she'd be proud. I blinked back tears. I hope so. The first step was small. I walked back to the ruins of my bakery. The sign still hung crooked, the windows dusty. It smelled of flour and ashes, of dreams broken too soon. But standing there, I didn't feel weak anymore. I felt ready. I ran my hand across the wooden counter, whispering, "We'll start here." Because this bakery wasn't just a building. It was where I'd given pieces of myself freely, where my gentleness had been mocked, where I'd nearly collapsed under the weight of survival. And now, it would become the foundation of something greater. Weeks passed. I met with Mr. Franklin, who guided me patiently through the storm of papers, numbers, and responsibilities. He never rushed me. He never doubted me. "You have more strength than you realize," he told me once, handing me a stack of documents. I smiled faintly. I'm starting to believe that. Adrian tried one last time. A letter. Not flowers, not lawyers. Just words scrawled on paper, slipped under my door. "Leah, you've won. For now. But remember, I made you who you are. Without me, you'd still be nothing. You can fight me all you want, but in the end, you'll always carry me with you." Adrian. I read it once. Then I burned it. As the flames licked the edges, I whispered, "No, Adrian. You'll always carry me. The one who survived you." And for the first time, the ashes didn't feel heavy. They felt freeing. My final step came quietly. I stood in front of a group of women at a shelter downtown, my voice steady as I told them my story. Not the headlines. Not the drama. The truth. I was broken, I said. I was mocked, humiliated, abandoned. And I thought that meant I was weak. But weakness isn't falling. It's staying down. And if I can rise, so can you. Their eyes shimmered. Their hands reached for mine. And in that moment, I knew this was what the inheritance was meant for. Not the money, not the power, but the legacy. Gentleness as strength. Gentleness as a key. Adrian thought he could destroy me. Sabrina thought she could shame me. But all they did was light a fire that won't burn out. I am Leah Foster, the lamb with teeth, the treasure they try to bury. And this is just the beginning. When I think back to the night I collapsed in my bakery, I realized something strange. That collapse wasn't the end. It was the beginning. I thought I had lost everything. My health, my marriage, my dignity. Adrian had walked out. Sabrina was waiting in the shadows to take my place. And I lay there, pale and trembling, believing the world was done with me. But life had other plans. That envelope, that letter, that key, they weren't just symbols of money. They were symbols of trust, of legacy, of a love that lived long after my grandmother was gone. And in that moment, when Adrian and Sabrina circled like wolves, I realized something I had never believed before. I was worth fighting for, not because of the billions, not because of revenge, but because of me, Leah Foster, the baker, the lamb, the woman with teeth. Every step of this story was drenched in betrayal. Adrian didn't just leave me, he tried to erase me. Sabrina didn't just mock me. She tried to turn me into a spectacle. But here's the truth that still shocks me when I say it out loud. Every time they tried to break me, they failed. When Adrian brought his lawyer, I refused. When Sabrina shoved cameras in my face, I pushed back. When they laughed at my bakery, I claimed it as my pride. And slowly, painfully, the world began to see me the way I had never seen myself. Strong. Strong enough to resist. Strong enough to fight. Strong enough to win. So here's the real question. Why wouldn't you subscribe? Why would you watch me survive wolves, fight back, and rise again, and still scroll away without joining this family? If you can answer that, drop in the comments right now. Go on. Explain why Leah Foster's story wasn't worth your click. But if you do believe in what you just heard, if you care about what happens next, about the battles still to come, about seeing wolves brought to their knees, then smash that subscribe button right now. Do it, not just for me, but for every lamb who's ever been told they were too weak to fight. Stand with me. Stand with Leah. And if this story hit you like it did to me, find out how a lady's husband would be smile when signing divorce papers only to find out she was all he needed to live a better life. The video is on the screen. Click to watch us now.